Sigh. Big old sigh. Big old sigh. City and draws, eh? City and draws. Another familiar story. The one that we've seen literally 3 times in a row. 3 draws now. Sunderland, of course, 0-0. City, Chelsea, 1-1. Brighton, tonight, 1-1. And another frustrating night of football. And I always do this when it comes around to it. I always quote Radiohead and Just... And it's you do it to yourself, you do. That's what really hurts. I think City have done that themselves tonight, unfortunately. My top line message from this game is that sadly there just isn't a killer instinct. There's all the caveats there, but I think we should win that tonight. We absolutely should, because actually the team, obviously the big, scoring goals important. You got fucking score goals. It's not. But the rest of it, even given the shitness around the lineup and all that kind of stuff. We've created plenty of chances. We should win that. Like, we've largely been the better side. Like, we should win that. We should win that comfortably in the end. That should be 3-1 in the end. City have done more than enough to win that game there. It's a killer instinct issue. Sunderland was the same. You've got to score those goals. Chelsea, to a slightly lesser extent, but still the same. You've got to finish those chances. And I am a firm advocate of giving the players grace and all that kind of stuff. And I still do. I think the caveats and circumstances around them are very, very unique. And it's an absolute dire straits and all that kind of stuff in terms of the fitness of the squad and all that stuff. And we've lost some mentality months off the pitch and stuff with injuries and so on. You've still got to score, man. Like, I'm sorry, like... some of those players have paid far too much to miss those chances. Like, you need it. You need Bernardo Silva to score that chance because he's your captain. You need Haaland, who's on £500,000 a week, and it feels harsh to bring his wages into it, but you pay him that money for a reason. You need him to score that chance. You need him to, because they are the ones you need to drag you out of this shitstorm that is our current situation. You need them to do it. You just need them. You have to. You need them to do it. And look, I understand that it's very hard for everyone when you're tired to sort that out. But I don't know. It's hard. It's really, really hard. It's a really difficult situation that City are in right now. The frustrating thing is we coached there tonight a win. You look at the stats of this game. As you're out there, as you can see, I'll get it up on screen right now. Let me bring it up. Where is it? Where are we at? Why is it not coming up on screen for you? Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's not coming on screen. There you go. There's the stats. Look at that. 2.3 XG tonight. 4 big chances to then 0.81. This should have been 2-1, 3-1, or something like that. Absolutely. There is no excuse for the wastefulness in front of goal. Maybe the tiredness is where it kicks in. Maybe when you're tired, your confidence is low, and they look around the dressing room and they haven't got players lifting them up there. But the mentality monster thing just isn't there right now. I look at that forward line there. Bernardo, it was at one point, a big moment player. Reinders isn't quite there yet. Phil is running empty. Doku is not that. You essentially just got in that forward line. Phil can be that. He isn't at the moment. Haaland, and Haaland is in a weird spell right now. I actually think, to be honest with you, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought the defence, given everything, did pretty well. They started off really, really all over the place. Got to give young Max Alleyne a big shout out for being as composed as he did when he could have utterly sank in that back line tonight. But then he was a crisp passer. He did all right. He did pretty well, and to be honest, in the second half, City were reasonably composed. They were much better than the first half. We had more than enough chances to win that. The goal was annoying. It was, and they obviously Brighton had some good chances as well. They did. But I think, given the circumstances, given that catastrophic back line, I think City actually, in the end, should have won that game. And it's really, really hard to find the balance of. Look. I think ultimately I've had this fear for a long time that we haven't quite got the killer mentality. I think of the classic Manchester City side. It's weird to say this because I think Donnarumma was equal on that front. But Ederson was sort of killer mentality. He actually sort of was, but I mean Donnarumma is too. Kyle Walker was a proper fucking and as much as he's annoying, he was a proper leader for that side. A relentless winner, a bit of a big dog kind of person. Ruben Diaz and John Stones at the best. They were a proper partnership. Ake locked down everyone on his side. Then you get Rodri, then Gundogan and De Bruyne. Those three midfielders, all absolute killers. Absolute killers. Then same with Mahrez. Bernardo is very best at killer. And I look at this side right now, and it does feel a little bit soft. Now, absolutely, I understand the fitness and form thing. I do. There's a lot of debate around Foden. Foden. What am I smoking, mate? This isn't my rating, mate. Do you think this is my website here? This is SofaScore, my friend. This is SofaScore's website. It's based on stats, But when you look at Foden, for example, now look, I've already been told people telling me I'm making excuses. Foden is no one has run more in the Premier League than Phil Foden. That's an absolute fact. He's the hardest running player in the Premier League. Now he definitely has an excuse to be tired if you want to. I don't think it's a coincidence Foden's dropped off in the past month. And he should be rested. He should be dropped or whatever. Absolutely. The guy needs a rest, man. Like, Foden started the season with so much subtlety and so much smarts to his game. And right now, Foden he doesn't look smart at all. He's giving the ball away all the time. I think when you at least maybe you can just turn around and say shit if you want to. But I think if anyone has the excuse of tiredness, there is no one who runs harder than Phil Foden in the Premier League. That's a statistical fact. If you deny tiredness for Phil Foden, you're essentially denying tiredness as an idea in general. So, but bearing that in mind, the man needs to needs to rest. Like, he needs to rest because right now he looks exhausted and he's been doing sloppy decision making constantly. And I know right now we've sort of sleepwalked we have into a situation where ran head first, where we've got no real options on the bench to get Foden off the pitch. Shirky, of course, came on and had a decent impact and all that. But the thing is, if you're going to run more than anyone, which Manchester City are, and this is a criticism, by the way, of Pep Manchester City before people make excuses. If you're going to run more harder than anyone, which he's got his team running harder than anyone, they actually do. They run more than anyone else in the league. You need to rotate players, or put your hands up if you've ever been truly exhausted. Like how many stupid decisions you make. I'm exhausted. I compare this to parenting because I feel like I'm so tired right now. Like, the amount of stupid things I do is ridiculous. I've always had pride. I can't even say pride in myself. Proud in myself. Pride in myself for being a really precise person when it comes to my daily activities. I do things with precision and intention and make good decisions. Like, the last 3 years, like, my tired parent brain, I've been making terrible decisions because I'm exhausted. And I just get things wrong. And I see these players now, Phil Foden just taking the wrong call or looking forward before he hits the pass, and the pass is then under hit or whatever. I don't see a lack of effort here. I see poor decision making from players who have gone through, who've been running. I think we've just handled it poorly. Now, I think certain players, even if they're exhausted, are still mentally strong and will find a way to win a game. They will do. Pete Rodri, Pete De Bruyne, even I don't think Haaland is a mentality monster in the way that De Bruyne is, for what it's worth, or Rodri is. I think Haaland is very close to that, but not fully that. I think Haaland is actually still 10% follower, if that makes sense. I think he's like 50% follower, not 10%, 50% follower, 50% leader. I don't think he's fully there yet. Do you know what I mean? I think Haaland can be, but I don't think he is yet. I think Haaland is still very much, I think he's a confidence player to an extent. I think he definitely follows the confidence of the team. And I think if the team dips a little bit, he dips a little bit, Haaland. And when the team's flying, his confidence is a bit higher. He doesn't quite have maybe the single-blooded mindness that, say, Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi does, where their game is utterly unaffected. And I think De Bruyne, to an extent, Pete De Bruyne, he doesn't give a fuck, man. Like, that guy was going to win anyway, and I think the issue I look at this team right now, yes, absolutely, like, the fitness is and injuries are a massive part of this. There's no denying it. But I look at this team right now, and there's definitely a lack of that. It's belief. Maybe it is down to tiredness or whatever, but I think the team is where it is right now. I do wonder if you had a deeper squad and you could challenge players and play themselves into the team and keep you on your toes and motivate yourself. I'm not making excuses, Jeff. I'm trying to talk about it logically. I'm so bored of people saying you're making excuses. Like, I'm not. I'm trying to understand. There's a difference. Like, and you can't turn around and talk about the 70s, mate. In the 70s, they ran about 5 kilometers a game. They run 12 kilometers now. The pressing didn't exist in the 70s, mate. I watched those games. Those games are farcical. I watched the defending that. They're all fucking drunk. And those players were drunk, literal drinkers. The fitness levels are unbelievably different. You could not compare the 70s to the fucking 2026, 50 years later, when they're all fucking Olympic athletes, you know? So, like, yeah, I'm not making excuses of the tiredness. I'm trying, the Manchester City players run more than anyone. And, you know, I'm trying to work out what's going on with these teams. I still think it's a quality thing, you know? They were fucking drunk in the 70s. I watched those players, man. They were all getting pissed all the time. So you can't compare, oh, they played in muddy pitches in the 70s. Nah, bullshit, mate. Absolute nonsense, that. They get whooped by any team from the modern era, those 70s sides. Anyway, I just hate dinosaur arguments like that. Yeah, it's just, it's essentially this team, just the squad and this team, they're just not ready. They're just not there. You know, they're absolutely not there. Which is the frustrating thing about it. Like, this City side is, it's a decent side. It's a good side. I do think we need to get. I think my conclusion in my head is we've got about 15, 16 good players, maybe got more than that. But we need to get a squad of 23, 24 players who are all very good in the way that Arsenal have got, and they need to push each other. And then that's where your confidence keeps playing. And that's where the pressure that forms diamonds. As it is, you know, Haaland knows he's going to play every single week because there's no alternative. And that's not Haaland's fault. As it is, you know, Nico Gonzalez has to play every single bloody week if Rodri's not there, you know. Diaz and Vardy have been playing every single week, you know. All these players are playing every single week. They need to feel. You know, look at how Kyle Walker played when Akanji was breathing down his back. You know, look at that. Look at the pressure there. Look at what Riyad Mahrez had to do to get into the Manchester City treble side. You know, this is the issue. I don't think the depth is right there, and the competition isn't there, and we're not. And I think when you've got loads of great players, the ones who mentally can step above their rivals, they are the ones who force their way into the team. And it's a confident cycle then. If you've got loads of great mentality players of quality pushing each other, the ones that are you know, good enough will force their way to the top, essentially. And that's what I think is happening here. And I think we haven't got enough of them. We haven't got enough of those players that will, you know, look at Alvarez, for example. Yeah, like Alvarez, every time Alvarez got on the pitch, you know, if Haaland wasn't doing it, you know, you saw, you know, Alvarez would come on and do it because that's a mentality monster. That keeps Haaland on his toes. Haaland's best season was his first season when he had Julian Alvarez as his backup. Is that a coincidence? You know, when Alvarez was fucking, like, you can feel that, surely, you know? It's, well, that's, I mean, surely you feel that, you know? You have to. I think this squad, essentially, my conclusion is Scottish are not ready yet, unfortunately. I don't think we were horrific tonight. I really don't. I know we started poorly. They got in behind far too often. You look at the state of that defence, Max Alain, Kusanov, Nunes, Ake. I understand why that happens. You know, Brighton are a good side who structure, who are very good ball players, good presses. They were going to cause a lot of trouble last night. But City did steady the ship in the end. I've got to give Max Alain credit, by the way. This young lad on his Manchester City debut, playing the Championship, really composed football. Clearly, far too exposed from the midfield to judge how he defended as an individual. But I've got to give him his flowers here because I thought Max Alain was a crisp, smart passer, and he could have stopped a cross or two, maybe a little bit better. But he did his best. He did his best. And Kusanov, of course, ridiculously athletic, a fantastic athlete of a defender. And I think, look, even Ake was slow. Nunes got caught a couple of times. The defence did, but it's I can see why that happens. I mean, Spike says we're not world class, we're mediocre at best. Can we just remember there's a whole bad, mediocre, and world class. There's a lot of middle ground in that. No team second in the league is mediocre. You know what I mean? We're obviously a very good side, but the difference between very good side and great is massive. You know, like teams who finish in the Champions League spots are really good sides. They are. But mediocre sides are Man United, Spurs. They are mediocre sides. So we don't have to say a stronger word to have an impact, if that makes sense. That's one of my bugbears of the internet, where language is just, you know, chiseled down to a couple of basic touching points. Like we can be smarter than that. This side is clearly a good side with lots of talent. It clearly is. Like tonight we should have beat Brighton. We should have beat Chelsea. We should have beat Sunderland. Despite all the injuries, despite everything, that team still played a win but can't fucking finish their dinner. That is the issue here. And that maybe that's a confidence thing. Maybe it's a fitness thing. Maybe they don't quite believe in themselves. Maybe that's... And if a team doesn't quite believe in themselves, if they look around, this is ultimately what's going to happen. You know, they're looking around for someone to step up, and we haven't found the people who do step up yet. And I think this is where we're at, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but this is life. Sorry. So I had to reply to the wife. It's about the kids there. Sorry, the wife's texting me about the kids because they're both waking up at the same time. She's trying to deal with it, so you have to excuse me every now and then. But you basically, and when you look at the quality of chances missing tonight, Bernardo Silva, Shirky, Haaland, Reinders, the bunch of them, we have to do better, man. We have to do better. What is the solution to this? I mean, I could sit there and pull. Look. Ultimately, we all watched the game tonight, and we all know that City should have scored. We all know we were open defensively. We all know why some of this happened. We all know we got too many injuries. We all know that some players maybe aren't quite good enough. We all know that some of these players will leave. We all know there's quality there, and we all know that some of these players whose form was great at the start of the season has dipped now. We all know that. I could tell you everything that happened in the game, but I'm just recapping what we've just seen. I would rather sit here and talk about what was happened and why it's happened. I think the only conclusion is when it is that we just don't have, look, if you have a Semenyo and a great winger, and you have an Elliot Anderson or someone like that, and you have a Mark Gay to step in, and you have all these players battling each other, and this is great sides, really great sides, have elite players pushing each other, and I think that is the solution. I mean this with the greatest respect. I don't think Rico Lewis and Oscar Bob and Savinho, and look at the bench today, I don't think these players are elite players pushing each other, and I don't think John Stones is an elite player pushing anyone these days. He's not a serious footballer, The verdict's out on Aït-Nouri. We don't know yet. We don't know about Omar Moose. Potentially he is. I don't know. But Guardiola's never paying him. Essentially, what we've got right now is we've got a bunch of players that aren't elite players pushing other elite players. And I can imagine there must be an element of frustration. I bet sometimes, they would never admit it, but I bet sometimes some of these players would actually fancy a rest, I bet they would do. I bet there is a frustration, like, I've got to do everything myself, like there's no way that some of these players don't want to go off half an hour early sometimes. I just don't. But I don't deny. I don't believe it. That feeling of like, can someone else? You look around, you're like, can someone else step up here? And if you look around and you see players, and you imagine you're Haaland, right? And you look to the bench and you saw Julian Alvarez will come on. Alvarez is going to fucking come on and he's going to score. Or Mahrez is going to come on, he's going to fucking score. Or or whatever. Phil Foden was on the bench in the Champions League final. It must feel like, all right, we've got a chance here. Kyle Walker's on the bench in the Champions League final. You trust any of them? And right now, I don't think honestly there's any point in putting any player in this game. By the way, I don't think if you start to pull out individuals in this, I think it's a collective issue. Like, obviously, some of these players you can say individually aren't good enough, but I don't think the individuals are necessarily the problem. I think the collective squad weaknesses are the problem here. Like, you could turn around and say, essentially, I want to see. I think someone said Bernardo will be gone, obviously. Ake will be gone. Someone said in the chat, Bernardo, Ake, Nunes, Doku, Gonzalez, all average. I think Nico Gonzalez is a clearly good player. I think Doku's a clearly good player, but they're not surrounded right now. I think Nunes has done well to step up. I don't know. I think we're in a situation where the squad, I think we're going around in circles. We're going around in circles, unfortunately. Like, the conclusion only is that this squad just isn't good enough right now. And I think that's it. That's all I can take from it. I don't think there's a lack of effort. I really don't. Like, I can't sit there and pretend that there's a lack of effort from this City side. They worked hard. They ran hard, They did. There's maybe quality issues, but there is no lack of effort, in my opinion. Like, the team ran. The team worked. Maybe some poor decision making, but they aren't like embarrassing themselves in terms of there's nothing pathetic from them in terms of their effort or their mentality. I don't see that. I just see a bunch of players right now don't have it right now, and I think some of these players would have it if they were kept fresh and confident. I think we've created an environment where there's no lack of effort. We had a one-man midfield today. I mean, that's just not true, mate. Just because people play poorly doesn't mean they lacked effort. I don't see these players as a lack of effort. It's such a lazy thing to say they're just lazy. Like City with a better time deciding to the chances in the end, and just because they're wide open, that's tactics or wrong profiles in the wrong slot. Like Foden and Reinders are clearly not defensive midfielders. They ran. They absolutely did run. I saw them tracking back and I saw them trying. I saw urgency in their play as well, but it was just dumb urgency or dumb tracking back. That doesn't mean it's it doesn't mean it's a lack of trying. Like it's. I guess my conclusion is this is there's some good players here, but they need to be surrounded by more. Maybe in a circumstance where you had Marmoush and Kovacic. I think Kovacic, by the way, we miss him. By the way, we really do miss Kovacic more. Like Kovacic is a proper good seven. I know you might laugh, but Kovacic is the exact kind of player you want on the bench as a squad player in a really good side. He is. We'd miss all of them right now. Kovacic would be such a reliable player because he's a more experienced, wily footballer than Reinders right now. Absolutely is. Reinders is really skillful and a great finisher, but in this kind of game, Kovacic, I think he would have been great. Anyway, and maybe the situation is different if you have Aït-Nouri, Marmoush, Kovacic, all the wingers, Savino and everyone else available on the pitch, and then you had Vardiol and Diaz available. Maybe it is different because these players can be rotated or whatever. But if Pep's not going to rotate them, and look, I can't get quite. There's a disconnect here for me. If you're going to make your team run more than any other team in the league, and City do, so these players are fucking working for Pep Guardiola. They are running. If they're going to do that, why don't you rotate? Like, surely after last season, this was going to happen. Surely, I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm missing something. I know how it works. Like they do have, they are tracked in live. They wear those tracker things. Like they are monitoring their heartbeat and the amount they run in real time. Like they're not asking, "Are you knackered?" They know they're knackered. They are monitoring them. They're watching them like machines. So the fitness team know what's going on. So am I missing something here? But I don't know. To me, it may be simple. The more you run, the more you play. And especially if you're running more than anyone else, you're going to you're going to get injured. I think we actually are. I think the side is much better than last season. The difference between, I think the one thing we must remember is the difference between these 3 games and last season is we were outplayed last season. We need to remember that. We need to remember that. Last season we were outplayed in these games. We just looked shit. We weren't outplayed in these games. We weren't. We were the better side in all of them. We should have won these. Ultimately, it was just a lack of maybe precision, fitness, quality, mentality, whatever it was. I guess it's quality, ultimately. I guess it's quality. I guess the thing is, if you look back to, once again, you go back to the treble side. If Haaland doesn't score, which he does anyway, Alvarez is going to score. If Alvarez doesn't score, Mahrez is going to score. If Mahrez doesn't score, Gundogan is going to score. If Gundogan doesn't score, De Bruyne is going to score. If De Bruyne doesn't score, Rodri is going to score. If they don't score, a confident young Phil Foden off the bench is going to score. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is what I mean. Like, I trust one of those players in big moments to do that. Now should we try the same thing in this side? If Haaland doesn't score, Foden? Usually, but Foden feels like he needs someone else to step up. If he doesn't, is that it? Do you trust Reinders to score? Do you trust Shirky to score regularly? We don't know that yet. Do you trust Doku or the wingers? I think that's it. That's the best way to put it. I think there's a confidence in that. To me, it always goes back to Sterling. Sterling's worst season in front of goal was when Aguero wasn't available. Sterling, in my opinion, his finishing got a lot worse when he was the one expected to score. Sterling went off the back of 2 seasons where he scored like pushing 30 goals, then got so poor in front of goal when we started doing all the false nine stuff and Aguero wasn't there. My hypothesis back then, if anyone watched my channel those years ago, my argument back then was the second you told Sterling to be the main man, he couldn't do it, man. There's a mentality difference there. Sterling is absolutely fine if he knows Aguero was there to bail him out and all that kind of stuff. He's absolutely fine there, because some players are followers and some players are leaders. I think all these players, they wait for the Haaland to score. And I guess the point I'm making there with the Sterling thing is clearly a mentality thing for some of these players. I just don't think these players are killers in front of goal. Like, we used to have... I don't know how many they all scored individually in that treble season, but would anyone be surprised if I told you that all of De Bruyne, Gundogan, Mahrez, Alvarez, Foden, all of them, Rodri even scored more than 10 goals in the treble season? I don't know if they did, but no one would question that because it feels right. It might not be right. It probably isn't. They probably didn't all get 10 plus, but it feels right, doesn't it? If you know what I mean by that. But does that feel right now? Would you be confident of anyone getting over 10 goals other than Haaland in this side? Foden will get there. Obviously, he has done. Shirky could do, but it's not like it's not guaranteed, is it? Shirky, Doku, and Bob Savino can't give 15 plus goals or comps. Collectively, Doku, Bob, Savino can't give 10 goals in all comps. Collectively, Sweet Kwame. Collectively, Shirky probably can get you 10 goals in all games if he plays regularly, and that to me is the ultimate issue. I think the ultimate issue here is that that's a quality issue, unfortunately. I think this Manchester City side do some very good things. I think we've got some good players. I don't really want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I don't want to sit here and pretend they're all shit. I don't think it's true. I don't think it is true at all. I missed a couple of super chats. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't think all these players are shit. I really don't. There was a super chat from Blue Sharky. So sorry, mate, I missed it. It was right at the start. I was too busy waffling away to myself. Blue Sharky said, last January, if we had that money to spend that money on experienced players and young prospects, we will not be in this position. People believe Arsenal drop points. Wait, I can't read it fully. Let me read it. Arsenal going to drop points are deluded. Probably true, mate. I think there's probably something in that. Look, I think the one thing I would say to counter that is that I actually think we are in like step 3 of 5 in the transition. We're replacing 12, 13 players. You can't do that in 2 years. In one year, you can't do that in 1 year. We were late to do it, and that was a failing of Manchester City. But you can't replace that many players that quickly. Several are going to leave in the summer because they are. I think this has to be the step up now. I think the ones we've got January were squad players to add to the senior players. You had the Gundogan, you had a Kanji, you had your Edison, you had your Jack Grealish still. You had a lot of senior players still, so they bought a lot of younger players who could complement those ones. I understand the logic there. We did buy a lot more senior players, I would argue, in the summer. You know, Reinders, Shirky, Nori. These were more senior players, so I understood the logic there. I understood the logic in January as well. Nico Gonzalez was a reasonably senior one, and the others were just sort of young punts to boost up the squad a bit, so I get that. But these next one signings, Semenyo, hopefully Gay, and then maybe an Elliot Anderson, these have to be senior players, and I think they will be for what it's worth. Super chat from Groovy Fruits, great name, my friend. He says, too many players look like they need a rest. It's true, mate. They look spent. They look dead in the water. Yeah, I agree, mate. But I think the squad is just not suitable. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Really appointed. I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. I think it's frustrating, but I don't think, again, we've learned anything from this. I think we know where we're at. I think there is a quality issue in front of goal. Hence the urge to sign Semenyo. I think it's a mentality thing and a quality thing in front of goal, unfortunately, because I don't think the football's been that bad. I actually think it's reasonably impressive to keep their shit together in the way that they did and get better in the game after the shambolic start given the defence. I do think that's quite impressive to get better, and I think the players showed a bit of spirit to actually get themselves away from that shit spell at the start of the game where Brighton were having a playing and toying with that weak defence. I think it was actually all right, but then after that, you just don't have the belief, the winners in the side. I'm going to leave it there. I'll come back to this tomorrow. For now, though, get Gay and Semenyo when we need it. Guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.